Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to the Oriental Café, a podcast where we will sit at the same table to explore the fascinating worlds of Egyptian dance, personal empowerment, and halas, life. I'm your host, Joana Saahirah, world-renowned Oriental dancer, teacher, choreographer, and author, the creator of the pioneering Joana Saahirah's World and Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School. I will meet you at the Oriental Café every 2 weeks, alone or with a guest, sharing intimate yet universal conversations. In agreement or disagreement, we will create bridges and inspire each other, because the world is only one, and so is our human soul. Ready to fall in love? Yalla bina! The rules of self-care for juicy dancers and non-dancers. Here's the theme of episode number 10 of our Oriental Café podcast by yours truly, Joana Saahirah. In this episode, I'm going to share the real, down-to-earth, practical, and efficient strategies that I swear by to keep myself full of vitality, healthy, vibrant, and at the top of my game after more than 25 years working as a dancer daily, non-stop, requesting so much from my body, from my mind, from my emotions. Now, I want you to know that what I'm going to share is not what comes on the manuals, it's what I've been doing. And I also want you to think about one thing right off the gate. Whatever you do to your body and to your mind today is going to have a consequence tomorrow. You may not see it right ahead, but every decision that you're taking in relation to your body is going to have its corresponding fruits. So every small decision, what you eat, what you drink, what you think, what you do or do not do, is going to have a consequence. A life of health, vitality, vibrant mood is not a miracle that fell from the sky. It's the product of daily decisions and discipline. So I don't want to rain on your parade, but it is important to take responsibility back, because once you take responsibility back, you take power back. If I'm responsible for the way my body and my mind and my heart is feeling, then I have power to change whatever I'm doing in relation to those things, in relation to my body, mind, and heart. Now, let's do the proper introduction before we get into these strategies. And by the end of the episode, I have a surprise for you. So listen or watch till the end. First things first, I will ask you to subscribe to the podcast newsletter if you want to gain the gift that I am going to offer at the end of this episode. And if you want to know about new episodes with me, with other guests, perks, benefits, exclusive content we're only going to share inside our podcast community. If you want to get a taste of that honey, you are invited to join our podcast newsletter. The link is in the description box below this video if you're watching this episode on YouTube, or in the show notes if you're listening to this episode in the audio platforms. I'm also going to share a little bit about myself and about the platform that I created, so that you understand where I come from and why I am in a good condition to share real strategies that build long-lasting health beyond physical health. Now, my name is Joana Saahirah, but that you already know, I'm a world-renowned Oriental dancer. I'm a teacher, an author, a choreographer, and also the creator of the pioneering Joana Saahirah's World and Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, delivering authentic Egyptian dance, personal discovery, and empowerment. I'm going to invite you to also subscribe to our newsletter, our beautiful, free, and fabulous newsletter, and get even more content and beautiful insights into the art of Egyptian dance and self-empowerment. You're going to find the link, as everything else that is worth watching and checking and following, in the description box below this video or in the show notes in the audio platforms. Now that I got that out of the way, let's go into the main strategies that I swear by for a vibrant, healthy, high frequency health state as a dancer as a woman in this world. First things first, you gotta take responsibility back. Again, if you don't like the way you're feeling, or if you don't like the way you're looking, if you're hurting, if your body is not functioning the way you want it to function, you have to stop playing the victim, saying, I'm unlucky, I have a bad genetic heritage or whatever you use to get off the hook, and you have to take responsibility back into your hands. Of course, all of us are bound by innate limitations, genetic tendencies, genetic codes, but that doesn't mean there is nothing you can do about it. That doesn't mean there is nothing you can do to influence your state of health and vitality. You can. So that's what you have to get a hold on, and that's what you have to grab and use to empower yourself. What can I do for more well-being, for more health, for more vitality today? What can I do? What is in my hands? This is the attitude of an empowered dancer. This is the attitude of an empowered person, and I am pretty sure that's you. Maybe you haven't noticed, but that can be you. Now, I'm going to be reading from my notes, so every once in a while, if you're watching the video, you're going to see me picking at my notebook because I don't want to miss anything, okay? First things first, it is important to be self-aware. And self-awareness is, it's the key to so many things, and to health and well-being and vitality too. Why? Because you need to know yourself, and you need to know what you need and what this particular season of your life needs. When I was performing in Egypt, for instance, I had the life of an athlete, high competition athlete, because I was performing every night, 1 hour shows, several shows per night, non-stop. I rarely had a day off. So basically, I lived as if I was preparing for the Olympics. I did my trainings in the gym. I had my own massage. I took care of my rest. I had no private life whatsoever because there was no time for it. I needed a good night's sleep. I needed someone to take care of my diet. It was very, very much limited to that specific season of my life. And the self-care that I did was extreme. I took care of my skin, I took care of my muscles, I took care of my hair, I took care of everything because basically I was performing and pushing myself at every level, every day, several times per day. It was violent and it was extremely demanding. I'm telling you this so that you understand that every season brings new conditions, new requirements, and a new self-care routine. We have to change with life. So the way I take care of myself today is not the same as the way I took care of myself back then, or when I was traveling the world in airports and festivals and living in my suitcase, because my circumstances have changed. So you have to look within, be aware of where you stand, who you are, and what's going on in your life, and what you need in this particular season to feel good. What is being requested of you? And what do you need to feel good, right? That is the first thing. Second thing, this is something that has been in fashion and for good reason, and I swear by it. In the way that we dance, in the way that we live, it influences all of our choices, and it influences the way we feel about what we do, and that is conscious breathing. When I talk about self-care, I cannot forget conscious breathing, because that has been one of the most transformational and simple strategies in my life. When I stop and I breathe consciously, slowly, deeply, just for a few seconds in the middle of my day, I gain life. I feel myself with a shot of vitality, clarity, groundedness, and the benefits of those few seconds of conscious breathing are endless. And science has proven it. So if you don't believe me, do a little bit of research, okay? I'm talking from experience, but most of the things I'm going to share with you here are backed up by science. They have been proved. So if you want to search and go deeper into the subjects, please do. Please do. When I teach my dancers in private coaching, in my school, in events, all I do is teaching them how to dance for sure, but also how to enjoy themselves a little bit more. And in that sense, conscious breathing is essential. When you're dancing in your life, create breathing pauses. Go back to your breath. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Be aware of that shot of oxygen and shot of life that you offer yourself when you cool down and you focus on your breath. I cannot tell you enough about how this will impact positively your experience in your dance and in your life, so I cannot advise it more. It is essential. And by the way, if you want to know how to do that, I have a private self-care practice that I have prepared. I'm only going to share it with the subscribers of the podcast newsletter. So at the end, I'm going to tell you more about that. But the only way of getting it is by subscribing to the podcast newsletter. And this is something that you can do daily. It's a very short morning routine that I use for myself that is going to set you in the right path. Okay? More about that in the end of the episode. So aside from self-awareness and knowing where you are and what you need in this season, and aside from conscious, deep, slow breathing, we have the basics. What are the basics? Healthy food, healthy drinks, 90% of the time. Now, this 90% of the time is important because we are humans, and sometimes we eat not for nutrition, we eat because we need to fill a void. We need to evade ourselves. We eat our emotions from our emotions. We are complex, multidimensional creatures. So presuming that you're going to be able to eat healthy food 100% of the time would be the same as saying you are a machine. You are a robot, perfectly programmed, and you're not. So the key is to think of it as 6 days a week, I'm going to behave, and then 1 day per week, I'm going to eat whatever I want, all the junk, everything that I like that is not good for my health, 1 day per week. And the other 6 days, I make sure that I'm eating a healthy and delicious diet. That is the foods I take and the drinks that I take, right? So avoiding processed foods, avoiding dairy, avoiding gluten, avoiding sugar, all those things that you already know about. That's a good idea. But eating things that give you pleasure, that's important. Drinking a lot of water. I love the infused water. I don't know if you've tried it. It's beautiful. I infuse it with lemon and cinnamon sticks and flowers and cucumber and other herbs, and it makes drinking water so much more fun and so much easier. The idea here is to ingest foods and drinks that are nutrients, that nourish, that empower your body, as opposed to eating mindlessly foods and drinks, drinking and eating stuff that is not good for your body, that is not going to bring any nutrient, any energy, anything good for your body. Again, 90% of the time. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? You are a human, you are not a robot. What else do I do? I like to think of self-care as pleasure, right? So if you're not having pleasure taking care of yourself, chances are you're not going to do it consistently. As I usually tell my students, in every routine, there must be an element of pleasure. Because if there is no pleasure, I'm going to do it for a little while, then I'm going to drop it. So make sure that you enjoy yourself while taking care of yourself, right? Breathing more, eating delicious and healthy foods, and drinking delicious and healthy drinks, exercising regularly, and that includes Egyptian dance, of course, if that's your choice of exercise. Exercising in a way that is both good for your body, but also stimulating for your mind. This is why I love dance so much, because it's physical exercise, but it's art. So I'm exercising my body, but at the same time, I'm expanding my intelligence. I'm working on my creativity, my sensibility, my self-expression. I am developing myself as a human being, as opposed to just going to the gym, right? And I love going to the gym, nothing against it, but dance has so many more perks than a mindless, empty movement, right? So exercising regularly, but with the element of pleasure in it, If it's dance, and it's very easy to have pleasure in Egyptian dance. So of course, I'm going to swear by it. Egyptian dance rocks. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Drop a comment below if you are an Egyptian dance lover and tell me how pleasurable it is. Oh my God, right? It's delicious. It's like eating ice cream. Handcrafted, organic ice cream. Yes, it's so good. It feels great and it's great for your body. But it can be anything else. It can be running or doing yoga or going to the gym or playing football or whatever. Physical exercise with a pinch, a seasoning of pleasure is another self-care strategy that I swear by. Now, I don't overdo it because when I overdo it, I feel my body suffering, right? I feel pain. I feel discomfort in my bones, in my joints. So everything in good measure. Rest is another strategy. And it is a complement to the physical exercise and physical activity. We need to be mindful and sensible in the way that we exercise so that we do not overdo it. Make sure that you also discipline yourself to rest and have absolute guiltless, shameless rest. Okay? For me, that's reading in our backyard. I love to read, listening to the birds and feeling the wind and the sun, and I really disconnect and I don't feel guilty. I know I have a very long to-do list. It's scary even, but when I get into my rest mode, baby, I'm in my rest mode. I don't feel guilty about it. I don't feel shame about it. Also because I also give it my best. I'm a hard worker. So I know that when I stop and when I offer myself some rest, I have earned it. But even if you have not earned it, okay, because this is not a question of earning it. It's a question of needing it and deserving it. As human beings, we can only survive and thrive with a good combination between exercise and rest, action and stillness, going for it and staying put. If you overdo one of them, you will be off balance. Okay, so aside from exercising regularly, and of course I am recommending Egyptian dance, and in the routine that I have prepared for you, there is a bit of Egyptian dance. You don't want to miss that at the end of this episode. Wait and see. Exercise, but rest as well. And if you are like me, an overdoer, someone who loves to create, I'm a double Gemini, guys. I have Sun and Venus in Gemini. I'm jumping and doing and running all the time. It's hard for me to stop and rest, right? So I have to schedule my rest. What? Yes, I schedule my blessed rest. Because if I don't schedule it, chances are it's not going to happen. So I highly advise you to do that as well. The same way you schedule work or a family commitment or a meeting with a friend, schedule specific times in your day when you are resting, whatever rest means to you. Now, what else? A good combination of sun, oxygen, and earth. Now, I know that this is not easy for all of us because so many people, dancers and non-dancers, live in big cities and they don't have access to nature. But if you do, or if you can escape, a good dose of sun, earth, fresh air, not being indoors, outdoors, in touch with nature is everything your body and your soul need. Whenever you can do that, do it. If you can do it daily, go for a walk in nature. If you cannot do it daily, program outings. Go out in nature as much as you can, because that also nourishes you. Think of yourself as a plant. What do plants need to flourish? They need good earth, fertile, clean, good earth. They need sun, lots of beautiful sun. They need oxygen. And they need water. We've already covered the water part, right? Because I told you, drink healthy drinks 90% of the time. And of course, that starts with water. But now I'm adding oxygen. That's the wind. Feel the wind. Feel it. the sun and the earth. If you can walk bare feet, perfect. If you can bask in the sun for a little bit and just feel the earth, feel the sun, feel the air, feel nature around you, that is something that your body and your soul are going to be thankful for. Do it as much as possible. The next strategy for great self-care that I swear by is sleep. And this is a basic, predictable one, I know, but most of us don't do it right. Knowing about it doesn't mean you're doing it right. Knowing is one thing, doing is another, right? And results come from doing it right. Results don't come from knowing about it. So how do I do my sleep routine? First of all, I always make sure that my room is fresh, not cold, but fresh, clean, peaceful, dark, when I'm sleeping, of course, and with a beautiful scent. I love lavender. I love lemongrass, although lemongrass it's a little bit exciting, but I love it anyway. I love to create a spa environment in my bedroom so that I can go in my bedroom and I can have this unwind, relaxing experience. My brain registers when I enter my bedroom, this is the time to go off and to recover. I also try not to sleep too late as much as possible. I like to sleep early and wake up early. That is also something that I feel is beneficial for my brain and for my body. And last but not least, I try not to stimulate myself too much before sleep. Screens, bright yellow colors, lights. As the day comes to an end, I start to dim the lights and I start to dim all the stimulations that my brain receives so that when the time to sleep comes, my brain is ready to go off into dreamland. What else do I have for you? I have focusing on the positive. Focusing on the positive is not being a Pollyanna. It's not being an hypocritical creature. No, it's about knowing exactly what the world is about. And there are a lot of horrible things happening, but there are also a lot of beautiful things and good things. And instead of focusing on the bad and obsessing on the bad and creating your vision of the world crafted by the bad, around the bad things that happen, I choose to discipline myself to look and appreciate the good things that are also happening. The good things that are happening in my life, on a private setting, and also collectively. The beautiful people, the beautiful acts of kindness, the advancements, the interesting stuff, the fascinating stuff artists are creating. A nice gesture, a human connection. There are so many beautiful, positive things happening, but if we disregard them and we hyper-focus on the negative, and it is easy to focus on the negative because the news and the internet is focused on the negative sells, the positive doesn't, right? So we have to discipline ourselves to look at the positive in our private life and in our collective life and nourish ourselves from that beauty. Nourish ourselves from that positive energy and let that beauty and positive energy become a part of who we are. So, so important. It will give you hope. It will give you enthusiasm. It will give you excitement for the future, which is essential if you want to take care of yourself and if you want to take care of others and the planet. Aside from all of these goodies that I've already shared, there is a couple more that I would like to tackle. One is meditation, but meditation my way. Okay, in a second I'm going to tell you what that is. And stretching. Of course, as a dancer, this has been like a part of my life, a part of my sleep, a part of my skin. I stretch every time, every day, everywhere, in the supermarket. I mean, stretching is essential for dancers and non-dancers, right? But let's go back to meditation. Forget about long deep meditations that require a lot of preparation and guided this and guided that. No. Why no? Because you're not going to do it. You're going to do it once or twice, but you're not going to do it every day. I'm all for stuff that I can sustain on a daily basis or frequently, right? Because those daily habits, those daily routines, the stuff that you can sustain, those are the things that are going to take care of your health. It's not what you do once in a while. It's what you do frequently. That is going to become who you are. Meshi? Okay? So, how do I meditate? When I have time, I like to do a long, beautiful, deep, guided meditation. But when I don't, which is most days, I just sit down. I close my eyes, and in silence, I focus on my breath. That's all. That's all I do. For 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I focus on my breath. I inhale through my nose. I exhale through my mouth. I keep my eyes closed. I rest my hands on my lap. I allow my body to relax. And all I do is focusing on the oxygen entering my body and exiting my body. That's all I do. And once again, if you want more guidance on how to do this, and if you want to do it with me and then get inspired and do it by yourself, you cannot miss the routine, the self-care routine that I have prepared for you at the end of this episode, okay? So, meditating is important, and it is important to do it in the beginning of the day. It is important to do it when you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed. It is important to do it for 1 minute, 2 minutes, in the middle of something. Whenever you can, it's useful to stop, go within, and reconnect with your breath, okay? Again, I cannot tell you how many benefits this will have, but I can assure you, it changes the way you dance and it changes the way you live for the better, okay? Now, stretching. This is another big one, and I am going to offer you a full stretch. What I do, like the basic minimum stretching routine that I do even when I don't have time, I'm going to offer it to you at the end of this podcast episode. But the idea here is to go through every muscle and bone in your body, stretch it, bring it back to its original place, and release the tension, the pressure, and the emotions and the worries that we carry in our body. So often when I watch dancers move, when I'm coaching dancers, what I'm seeing is the pressure and the weight of the world on their shoulders. They cannot move efficiently, smoothly, fluently, effortlessly, not because they're bad dancers or they're not getting it. No, it's because their bodies are carrying the weight of the world. They are carrying their worries, their responsibilities, their sadnesses, their fears, their frustrations, and stretching is a great way of releasing all of that luggage, especially if you stretch with a good combination of breathing work, right? You're stretching in coordination with your breath, much like what we do in yoga, okay? But you don't have to do yoga. You can do it in a much simpler way, and I'm going to show you how at the end of this episode. Last but not least, I highly advise you to work on yourself and to focus on yourself and focus on helping others if you can, as opposed to comparing yourself to others, competing with others, setting your standards of how to dance and how to live according to how others are dancing and living. This is the major invitation for self-care. It's that I honor who I am, I honor myself, and I'm not comparing myself or my life or my dance with anyone. I'm investing in what matters to me. I'm investing in creating the dance and the life of my dreams because I honor myself. If I can empower others, I will. If I can help others, I will. If I can support others, I will. The same way I support myself and empower myself. But it all starts with giving it to yourself. Because if you cannot support yourself, you won't be able to support anyone else. If you cannot love yourself, you're not going to love anyone else. And if you don't know how to empower yourself, how in hell are you going to empower others? It's never going to happen. So remember, if you want to give it to others, give it to yourself first. Because this is the only way of knowing how to do it. I have to give it to myself. I know how to do it. I have it for myself. Then I can give it to others. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Remember, I know you do. So this is it. This is the basic self-care routines that I swear by. As you see, they're very simple and they're very straightforward, but they are the ones I swear by. They are my default mode, and they're the ones who have kept me healthy, vibrant, and youthful for such a long time. And being in a profession, in a work that demands so much from me, not only on a physical level, but on a mental, emotional, spiritual level, Egyptian dance and Egyptian professional dance is very demanding. It is not for the weak of heart. It is not for sissies. It is not for cowards. It is hard. And I am so proud not only of having built this amazing career that I've always dreamed of, but also of making it, having become a healthier, stronger, more grounded, and happier person. This is what I call life quality, and this is what I call dance quality, and this is what self-care is for. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. I did not share a lot of other things that I do, but if you want a sneak peek into a basic but efficient self-care routine that I do for myself, I am going to invite you to claim it in the description box below this video or in the show notes if you're listening to this episode in the podcast audio platforms. You're going to claim that self-care routine. You're going to watch it. In that self-care routine, I'm going to share with you some of the things that I do every day to keep myself healthy and strong and vibrant and enthusiastic about life. And of course, the idea is not for you to copy that routine. The idea is for you to get inspired by it, use it if you like, or parts of it, and create your own routine, the one that serves the person that you are and the season of life that you are living right now. Claim it by following the link either in the description box below this video or in the show notes below the episode in the audio platforms. It comes without saying, it has been a pleasure to share another episode of the Oriental Café podcast with you. If you liked it, tell me that you liked it. Share it with your dance peeps. Follow, subscribe the podcast in the audio platforms. Don't forget that. Rate the podcast and drop a comment in the audio platforms and also here on YouTube if you're watching this episode. Join me in the podcast newsletter and make sure that you are claiming your free class. This is only going to be available inside the podcast newsletter. This free class on self-care, my private self-care routine. Find the link to subscribe to the podcast and claim your routine. You know where, in the show notes or in the description box below the video. I love you. And I will see you very soon at the Oriental Café podcast. I cannot wait to hear from you and to see you and dance with you very, very soon. Until then, all my love and my usual kiss. Mwah.